Hi, I'm Dave, the host and creator of Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. Everyone has been saying I should start making YouTube videos, so I figured I'd start with something I know nothing about, the daily reflections. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, but I know it's gonna be great. Trust me.
Good morning, Dopey. Galaxies flow. Your favorite podcast. Now able to show.
Good morning, Dopey, and welcome to Good Morning, Dopey, our deep dive into the world of the daily reflections. My name is Dave. You might know me from Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. You may not know me at all. So hello, nice to meet you. I don't know if you know our guest today, but if you've ever listened to Dopey, I'm sure you do. He's the one and only downtown Ray Brown. Welcome back to the show, Ray Brown.
Hi, Dave.
What's going on?
You tricked me again.
Touche, my friend. This is not the show.
Do you want to help me test some gear? I'm like, I think I know what that means.
How we test some gear.
Yeah.
You don't even say hi to the Dopey Nation anymore. Usually you used to say, hey, Dave. Hey, Dopey Nation.
Did I? I don't remember that.
Wow. You know what we're doing, Ray, right?
Reading the reflections.
Yes. You want me to read it to you and you can tell me what you think it means?
Okay.
You excited?
No.
Here we go. All right. November 17th. And Ray, have you ever read the Daily Reflection book before?
No.
So before we get into this thing, we have to make a disclaimer that we do not speak for the Daily Reflections, AA, NA, SLAA, MA, CA, no A, nothing, Helena, nothing. We are just making sense of this thing. Ray is barely a membership of a 12-step fellowship, and he's done with his sponsor. He burned his fourth step. He's out. So this is just two guys talking about some literature.
I didn't burn it. I flushed it down the toilet.
Did you cut it up first?
Yep.
How did you cut it up?
With a scissor.
So did you cut across and up, make confetti out of it?
Yep.
You took the time to do all that?
Well, it has to go down the toilet.
So what were you doing while you cut up your fourth step, just out of curiosity? Were you watching TV? Listening to music?
Probably watching YouTube. I don't know. It was hard. It was hard to cut it up.
You felt bad?
No. It was just physically difficult to cut it because it was 70 pages. It took a while.
I swear to God, you're like a fucking robot, Ray. You got no emotions about anything. Come on. Here we go. You ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
And this is a very emotional one. I didn't choose this one for you, but there are no coincidences, as they say.
Is it based on the date?
Yeah. November 17th. It's called 69ing Police Officers. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Overcoming Loneliness. Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness. Even before our drinking got bad and people began to cut us off, nearly all of us suffered the feeling that we didn't quite belong. And I know that's true for me. Is that true for you, Ray?
No. And I remember this now. I've read this before.
Here we go.
And it's like, what did it say? Almost without a doubt, all alcoholics are extremely lonely. What did it say?
Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness.
Yeah. Not me.
Denial is not just a river in Egypt, downtown Ray Brown. Here we go. The agonies and the void that I often felt inside occur less and less frequently in my life today. The truth is, Ray isn't lonely. Ray's like Winnie the Pooh. He's going to Mexico. He's fucking hanging out. He sees people when they come and when they don't. He watches YouTube. Are you with me or are you not with me here, Ray?
Yeah. People come over here and we hang out, and I hang out with people, and I could relate to some of from teenage years, early 20s. I went through some, like everybody, very confusing and turmoil, I think it said. But once I was 27, I haven't felt those feelings of just angst and not knowing what to do and whatever that just said.
Tortured loneliness. Here we go.
Yeah.
It is only when I am alone and... Oh, here we go. I have learned to cope with solitude. Seems like you have.
I've spent large parts of my life in total solitude.
And it wasn't the recovery. It was just your natural. But when you were at your worst alcoholically and you started to get sober, did you enjoy the solitude more?
I don't know. I used to spend like I do now. I'll spend weeks without talking to anybody. And
I talk to you every fucking day.
Well, to you, but like I don't go. Don't go out. And like when I lived in the country, I just went home and like drank. And I don't know. I had a house in Tallahassee where I lived by myself when I was 25.
But in sobriety, did you find solitude to be better?
I didn't find it any different.
You are the worst, Ray. I swear to God.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is
So
only
glad
when
I did that.
Yeah, me too. It is only when I am alone and calm that I am able to communicate with God, for he cannot reach me when I am in turmoil. How about that, Ray? Does that speak to you?
No.
What about your hippie fucking feelings about God, that God is everything and all that good stuff?
I think that when we die, we all see each other again. I don't know what that means, but
You do?
yeah.
What do you think happens when you die? You go to some great Ray Brown family convention in the sky?
I don't know how aware we are
You eat
of each
pizza
other.
and Taco Bell and everything is cool?
Yeah,
You're with
yeah.
with your dad and stuff?
Well, I have just recently read 3 very different people who had a near-death experience or an overdose, and they all said, I know this sounds really corny, but I floated up into the air and I looked down and I could see my body, and I could hear the room, and it was getting quieter and quieter, and then suddenly I was back in my body. So they would
But that
die,
doesn't
and
mean
then
that
they
you're gonna see your people, or you're gonna go someplace.
It means you've left your body and you're still aware.
All right. So you're saying that you believe in the afterlife. You do not feel it is only when I am alone and calm that I am able to communicate with God, for he cannot reach me when I am in turmoil. I find personally that when I calm down and I'm not in turmoil, I feel a sense of serenity.
Yeah, that
And I
makes
know
sense.
you do too. I know you do too, you fucking liar. Fucking lying fucking Ray Brown over here. All right. It is good to maintain contact with God at all times, but it is absolutely essential that when everything seems to go wrong, I maintain that contact through prayer and meditation. Can you believe this is the YouTube show, Ray? You're not
No.
impressed with this.
Well, I told you this morning, I'm like, it's not dopey.
This is dopey, Ray. I'm on it. You're on it. What's not dopey about it?
I
Tell
don't
me.
know. It's just it's so serious.
Well, that's true. What am I saying? It is good to maintain contact with God at all times, but it is absolutely essential that when everything seems to go wrong, I maintain that contact through prayer and meditation. Do you pray or meditate, Ray?
I haven't in a while.
When's the last time you did it?
Like when I first met my second sponsor.
Do you feel like you're lost adrift in a sea of loneliness and turmoil right now?
No, and I've talked to you about this. So like I just like I know AA is great and it works, and I'm just like kind of off it right now.
So you're not interested in the daily reflections either, then?
No, it's always interesting because I told you earlier that revelation when I heard somebody say, I can't have, if I have one drink, then like I'm going to drink the whole bottle and then I'll look for Coke and then, bad things happen. And like to hear somebody else say it at a meeting or online like that, I found very helpful. I didn't stop drinking right away, but I was like, oh, that's me. And the other people do have one shot and that's it. They're fine. So just to recognize that you're part of this group of people that meets in these meetings, but then it just gets so deep with all that literature, and some of it I understand and some of it I think people just get carried away. So some people like it. It's just not for everybody, like the deep dive of AA literature.
I hear you. I'm trying to make sense of it, and I think overcoming loneliness makes sense to me. It sounds like you don't give a fuck, but I think that you're just obstinate and defiant, which is two things I really love about you, Ray. Your obstinance and your defiance.
I found the big book very helpful. I remember reading it on the train. My first sponsor bought it for me. And then last year I was in that group and we read 12 and 12 every Saturday. So I've read 12 and 12 like multiple times and found that stuff helpful and interesting. But then some of this deeper stuff is like you're going to church, you know?
And you don't like that kind of God. You don't like the gobbledygook of the daily reflections, is what I'm hearing.
Just from what I've heard so far. And also they're making things up. Like when you go to a meeting and people go, you know how we are as alcoholics. We get annoyed when somebody's walking slow in front of us on the sidewalk. I'm like, that's everybody.
Well, I get annoyed. You walk too slow on the sidewalks, Ray. I'm behind you all the time, and I'm like, what the fuck, man?
I'm old, but people say, you know how alcoholics, we do this. I'm like, well, everybody does that. Or they're like, we're special. We're usually smarter. In the big book, it says alcoholics are generally smarter than non-alcoholics.
So this just in, AA people are stupid. Thank you, Ray Brown. Thank you for participating in this week's edition of the Daily Reflection. And I hope that you overcome your loneliness. And I wish I had some time to be fucking lonely. I'm totally inundated with too much crap. But I love you, Ray. Thank you for coming on. Stay strong, Dopey Nation.